There we go. Stream.
Happy New Year! Oh wait, it's not very,
Soon.
very soon. Yeah.
Alright, now I'm live. There we go.
Well, let's see. Actually, yeah, you're right. In China, no, it's 2 hours from now.
Oh, yeah. Hello, everybody. I'm Tom Beach from TabNation.
We know, Tom.
Well, I'm live now.
Tom, do you ever? I noticed when I started going through like doing my newsletter or whatever, and I want to make sure all the links are right. I, of course, click on the email and make sure that it pulls up the right video, and it totally sounds like a clone of me every time. It's hey, it's Joe Lyons from The-Automator. Like it is so. It's like I've recorded it and just used the same thing over and over because
Yeah.
it's. But and for a good reason, because today I just published my 1,000th video.
Oh, nice. I knew you were close.
Yeah.
Yeah, I randomly just was like on your channel and saw that you were like 3 away or something. I was like, ooh, he'll hit that like within a week, easy.
Well, yeah, that's I purposely, after I saw that, I'm like, well, I had, it was interesting. I was trying to understand, because if you upload them and they're unlisted, they still don't count. So I had several sitting there, and then
I just use this one website. What's it called? It's not TubeBuddy.
TubeBuddy's a good tool. I use that. And that was actually what I mentioned last week when we were, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago, when we were talking about Discord, and that TubeBuddy has people, if you want to ask a question at their live sessions, you have to join the Discord and go through the Discord, and it's always just a cluster. I mean, people, no one can actually do it. They get so confused.
Yeah, it's called Social Blade. That's what I use. And you just type in your channel name and search, and it gives you like a rating and stuff too.
Oh, cool.
So I was a C- last week, and now I'm a C+, it looks like. So I'm moving up. I think you're like a B-. And it's just like comparing like to every other YouTuber out there.
Sure.
But for some reason I have no education rank, which is weird. That should be there. Yeah.
John, hi John.
Hi, everybody.
How are you? Good.
Yeah, I'll be in and out today, but at least I will listen to you if I have to, just to leave my computer for some time. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Last day today.
Sure, a lot of people will see this video tomorrow, so it will be a New Year for them.
Yeah.
That's right. You don't think everyone's going to sit around and be watching our videos, Tom? I don't understand.
More on the weekend.
So actually, since Constant Marks had a question about, well, he had a lot of hotkey questions, so we can also just try to solve his problem. But Constant, do you want to mention anything in particular, just because we were on topic about Discord? Was there some confusion of where to post your question, or any other thing you want to bring up, so we can address that first, and then we'll jump to your actual trying to help you?
Let me unmute here. Now I'm live. Yes, I had difficulty determining which, I guess it's called a channel under the service that you post your question to, and how to tell Discord that you're through inputting and ready to have somebody look at it, which I thought was a .close command, whether that was needed.
So, hold on. Let me share my screen. I got Discord open now.
That would be great. Just bring it up and post a question and or auto hotkey, let's say.
I'm actually not in the group anymore, but
okay.
I can show you another server. It's pretty much the same idea.
Okay.
So over here on the side, you have what channels you belong to. So I'm on the Delaware Travel channel, which is a Delaware group. We got some other ones like some video games I play, that kind of stuff. So once you're in here, there's these channels over here. So you can click one that, relates to what you're going to ask, which I think in Auto Hotkey they have, like, if you're asking about gaming, go to this channel that says gaming or whatever. So yeah, you basically just go in. All you got to do is type down here. Uh, Happy New Year's. Ah, can't type. I can't see my keyboard with my mic. And then all you do is just push enter, and it'll basically post up here like a chat. So now I just wait for someone to respond to this.
And I think maybe there was some confusion because when Dylan showed us a couple weeks ago, he did do some sort of a closing. He added a tag and did something. Does that sound at all familiar?
I mean, if you're shouting someone out, so let's say I want to talk to someone from up here that, I want to call them out, so I can tap the at symbol, and then I can select that person's name, and that will notify them that, hey, I'm trying to talk to you specifically. So that's the only thing I can think of, because after that, you just push enter once you type.
Okay, you posted it, and how do you know that somebody's answered your Happy New Year?
Right.
I'll just get a notification under here. Up here on this blue dot, there'll be like a little red dot or a green dot or something that tells you that there's like a new thing on that channel. So you just kind of have to like look and see if anybody's answered. So hopefully someone answers here soon and you can see that.
Okay.
Now, if you want to talk to someone specifically, you can always click on their name and message them directly through here. That way, because with auto hotkeys and Discord, it's kind of hard to be organized in there just because it is a chat. So it's sometimes better to reach out to a person that's helping you just to be more organized.
And is there a place that tell you who's online?
Yeah, right over here. So, like, I'm a mod for this group. There's some bots that just kind of help with, like, swearing and stuff. But yeah, these are all the people right here that are online for the Newcastle area. And then, Kent, Sussex, those are the counties in Delaware. And then I can see people who are offline here.
Dylan I guess he's watching. He wrote me a message and said, after your question has been resolved, it's custom to use the command .close to close out the channel and make it available to the next user.
Oh, okay.
You only use .close after someone's answered your question and you don't need any more help, any help anymore.
That might be something that's on that server, because I've never seen that before. Okay. So that might just be a rule they have.
Right. Right.
Okay, that makes sense. That's why I didn't get an answer to my question, because I closed it.
Okay. Yeah, I've never heard of that, so it must be specific to that.
That's awesome. Yeah, sorry, I'm laughing. That's awesome. You're like, why didn't we? Yeah, because you closed it. Right. Yeah.
It makes perfectly good sense.
Right.
I just lost the beginning of it.
Oh, I didn't catch that. I remember him doing something with it, but honestly, again, like I said, I wasn't planning to start hanging out on Discord, so I just didn't pay, crazy close attention. But it's a really good point. Now, how? Oh, even then, the .close, maybe it does, Tom. Maybe you're right. Maybe there is certain functionality built into the Discord one on that server, because how in the world would people see? They don't see .close, right? It must change it where.
Yeah, I would assume there's bots. Like, I have a bot that if you swear, it automatically like filters it out. So yeah, that must be someone. I wasn't on the auto hotkey Discord for very long because I didn't think it was very organized. I just find Reddit a lot better. Like we were saying, like it's easier to have a single post on Reddit where, people are only answering your question, versus Discord there could be like 5 people at once asking questions. So then it can get a little confusing.
Well, I switched over to Discord because I went to the Auto Hotkey forum and posted a question, and it didn't. The answer didn't solve my problem. So I said, well, maybe I can try Discord and start a conversation with a particular person. And I think your point point about clicking on the name and getting a directly interaction with a single person.
Yeah, once someone
That's
starts helping you, that's definitely the way to go, I would think. As long as they're okay with you directly messaging them, which
Well,
most people should be fine if they're helping you.
yeah, and what I would say is, as with anything in life, like you've been on those endless CC'd emails where someone asks a question to a group and then no one responds because they didn't ask me, and I'm like, someone else will get it, whatever. But
Yeah.
when you talk to an individual, and it's like grabbing them by the lapels and you're like, hey, what about this? They're much more likely to actually interact with you. Now, what I would recommend is, especially like on the forum, go find where someone else did something that's on your topic and ask them. And often they use the same what's it called, name, it's not name, but I can't think of what that's called, the your username, whatever it is, I can't think of what it's called. But you can tell from one to the other, and so like Geek Dude on the forum is also Geek Dude, I believe, on Discord. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Yep, it does.
I'm using often Stack Overflow and not much Reddit. Are there advantages to Reddit compared to Stack Overflow, or?
I mean, Stack Overflow is kind of easier to search. So if someone's already asked or answered your question, maybe someone had the exact same question, it might be easier to find. Just because on Reddit, eventually stuff can get buried. It might not always show up on Google. Especially because you might ask the same question, but in a different way.
Well, I would also say, though, on Reddit, you're much more likely to have people there answering your questions and helping you interactively. Stack Overflow is, to me, it's more of a historical thing, which Tom kind of
more like a forum.
Yeah.
And
But what I
Reddit
also,
would be closer to the I just forget the name, the tool you just mentioned with Constant. Discord, yeah. Sorry.
But I'd also say, and I do this both for the forum and for Stack Overflow with that little tool I have. So let me share my screen real quickly here, just because it's this, and I don't even know where I'm on my website where I share it. But when I have an auto hotkey question, right, I hit my trigger. It doesn't matter. I have caps lock S, and I can check or uncheck these, right? And I'll say when I hit search, it's going to do a Google search on those sites, right? So both on the wherever it is, not one, but see how it's search site. The site is autohotkey.com. So I use Google to search both the forum and Stack Overflow and any of those other ones. That's how I highly recommend. I actually have a really quick story I can tell you that's funny on this. We bought this boat recently, right? And the guy we bought it from, he couldn't find this one part to fix the motor. So we got it for significantly less than what it was worth. And he had tried to find it and was Googling and stuff, and he couldn't find it. And even my partner had Googled the part number, because he knew the part number, but everywhere it was sold out. And I said, you know what? He had searched eBay, but I used Google to search eBay to find the part, and I found like 5 of them. So thankfully, it actually Google does a better job at searching than the built-in search tools.
Yeah, and if you do a typo, Google will suggest the right spelling. For example, your single instance was corrected. That would not be done probably by the forum, Authority forum site or other tools.
And this here, you can see this is going to limit it because it's tagged auto hotkey. It limits the search on Stack Overflow to just those. And that was why, if you saw in here, I have it twice. If I'm suddenly going to say, you know what, I don't know if it's going to be an auto hotkey, but it's the COM object, I'll do both of these or all of them. Anyway, it's a cool little tool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. You said that's on your website?
Yeah, I'm sure it is somewhere. I don't know what I would have called it though.
I'll share it onto the description once the video uploads. Or put it in the chat.
You will need a Google dedicated to your site. Joe.
Yeah, there you go.
Right. Anyway, I'll track it down. Let's go ahead and keep talking. So, Constant, why don't you explain to us what you were actually needing help with?
Okay. I was trying to develop a very simple script that reads the clipboard, the current clipboard, anything that's in the clipboard, and pull two pieces of information out of it and write it to an application. And I got it to work, but I then assigned a hotkey to it. And when I hit the hotkey, it remembers the old clipboard. It does not read a fresh copy. It doesn't. If I change what's in the clipboard, it makes no difference to the script. The script always reports what I used when I created the script. When I'm using the Sec4 auto hotkey editor, and I clicked run to get it to work, and that whatever's solved there is what's reported when I hit my hotkey. I can show you the script if that would be useful.
Yep.
Let's see. I share screen. Is that I select that, right?
Right.
Yep, and then you can pick what window you want to share specifically.
Okay. Are you seeing my script here?
Yep.
Okay. So you see right here at the top, I assign a variable to clipboard. I do some processing on it here to pick up. This is an example of what you might see in the clipboard: first, middle, and last name. And my goal is to create the first name and the last name. So I send first name, a tab character, and a last name. So that's my goal, and I assigned it this hotkey shift F11.
The problem in your script, Constant, is that everything that is before line 30 is executed only when the script is launched. It's not re-executed every time you press your hotkey. So if you move your hotkey, the line 30, if you move it at the top, and everything below will be executed each time you press your hotkey.
That's so simple.
Yeah.
That'll be $50.
Okay, it makes perfectly good sense.
And I've seen people ask the same question, so it happens.
Yeah. It's
It's not that simple. Yeah.
When you first start using on a hotkey, it's a simple language. However, just understanding the one that I find really trips people up is the auto execute section. When that everything's working fine and then suddenly it doesn't. I actually did one the other day. I added an if window. It was actually, I should almost demo it. I do my weekly newsletter, right? I have a Word template file with my core subjects and topics so I don't forget things, right? And it's a template file, so that way I can't just easily overwrite it. And then I go into it and I do a save as, and I save it as a new document with the new this week's date, right? And I build it all. Well, I was hitting Alt S, and it was, when I would do Alt S, it wouldn't actually save it as the new name, even though I typed the name in. It was reverting back to the template. Anyway, so I wrote a hotkey to built in to say, hey, if Word is active, don't send Alt S, send the stuff that works. And because to me, Alt S means save. I don't even think about it. And what was funny was I added it to my script, and I forgot to close the if when active. And so suddenly everything I had stopped working because it was always looking to see, is this, a certain program active? And I have thousands of hotkeys in this thing. So anyway, even I can screw up. I'm like, thankfully I remembered what I just worked on, went back into it, found it.
And something a lot of people do is they'll want something like that where they don't actually want a hotkey. They just want it to run. But if you don't include a hotkey in your script at all, it'll run, but then it will close down afterwards. So there's been so many times where I'll just be like F11 return, just so it doesn't close and can keep the timer going.
Or add a persistent, depending what you're doing, right? But
Yeah.
Usually you do want it to, well, that's the thing is most of mine have a hotkey in it, or I use one in another program to launch it, and then it launches, and I want it to exit when it's done. You know, that's one of the ways I simplify that.
Yeah, the first time I learned about that, I was so lost because I was like, why does this program keep closing down after it's done? It's like, oh, you need at least a hotkey or like, yeah, persistent. So I was like, oh my god, it took me like an hour to figure that out. Because for the longest time, I've always used hotkeys, but there was that one time I needed a script without one. So I learned something new that day.
Okay. I would like to give my, oh, stop share. There we go. There we go. Thank you so much. As you saw, yeah, it worked fine.
Yeah. Usually I put a big separator after the header, the section that is executed only once. And if you have other stuff behind like function or things like that, you will put return there so that the auto-execute section will be ended at the return command, and then a big line so that shows that this will be only run once.
I found that link. I put it. Oh, I put it in the YouTube chat. Tom, let me
Oh yeah, I can send in the chat here,
you
and I'll copy it over. Yeah, that's a useful program. I definitely want to play with it.
Yeah, and of course it's very easy to update to include other sites, you know, and to do what you want, right? And
Good.
yeah, I use it. I'd say at least a dozen times a day, probably, because I can't remember anything. What I need to do, and it's kind of ironic, is I need to add the automator to that list also, because just like what I was doing right now is I got to search my own damn site because I got to find something, and it, you know, sometimes it's not easy.
That will be very helpful. I'm using an app that John Cardinal wrote. It works. It's a screen scraper, and he's got great documentation, but it's not searchable unless you use the site search. In Google, in Google, using that technique you have,
Oh, okay, gotcha. Right.
just specifying what you're looking for and and say, look at the site.
Right. Yeah, force it where to look. And you can add file, you know that you can add file type. That's another really common parameter, I'll use is I'm looking for a PDF or I actually, I've never tried it before on an AHK because generally speaking, I'm looking for, maybe it's a movie or it's a PDF if I'm using that file type or a picture. Yeah.
I want it to.
And of course, if you
share.
don't know, you go to Google, go to the advanced, and then look at that structure and how it builds the URL, and then just borrow from that, right? That's a super easy way to figure out how to better contain and do your search.
I just wanted to mention something that on my website under the FAQ section, which is right here, I have a gaming list here that I'm hoping to get people to help out with. So if you're watching this, like 2 videos ago, I did a video about this, just asking for people's help. Questions get asked all the time, so I have stuff on here like, even Discord. I have like using it against their term of service if you're using it to bot. I got like Diablo 3, basically just hints and tips on how auto hotkeys works with them. And I always mention like, this game, you can get banned for doing this and stuff. So if anybody has any experience, definitely throw it into the comments below once this video goes onto the actual channel or on that other video.
Not to be a jerk, Tom, but now that you said that, and I'm glad you said Discord, because it is funny how I'll make fun of other people, like, when you show them something, it's got to be so close to what they're doing because they just won't understand it. Well, of course, you mentioned this to me, and I'm like, I don't play games, so I don't have any games to list. But until you actually mentioned Discord, I'm like, well, wait a minute, I could have something on my site talking about programs and not actually. I appreciate what you're doing here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to build one that lists different programs and then list like, okay, you can connect to it with a COM object or controls,
Yeah.
or the method that you should use. Because I think that I get that question a lot of like, hey, I'm trying to automate this thing in Excel and they're sending keystrokes. I'm like, yeah. Excel has COM.
And then also a lot of people are always like, why doesn't control send work? And that's kind of with those programs, Electron or whatever it's called.
Tom, what you should, and maybe this is where you're going with this, right? What you should, what I see this, what I start thinking is like, okay, now then you take this information and you build an auto hotkey script, and then you build like I have like the IWB2 learner tool. When you drag, or the WinSpy, when you drag to a program, it'll look at the the overall program and then tell you, automatically say, hey, this is the approach you should use. Right? It doesn't actually write the stuff.
That would be
but
really
it just
cool.
very quickly says, so we can build a database and then start sharing it, and then just say like, oh, hey, this is a quick way to understand, your, what I would say is you list as many as you can of like, here are the methods you could use. This one is the one you probably should use, kind of thing.
Yeah, and then links to like, more documentation
That'd be
or
awesome
something.
too, yeah.
Yeah, that wouldn't be too hard. It's just getting all that data from hopefully users helping us, because there's thousands of programs out there. We can't cover them all. That's with like gaming. I get asked gaming questions all the time, and I'm like, I can only guess because I'm not paying, $60 for a game just to help you out. I'll guess how it's going to work, and you have to tell me if it did or not.
Well, in Tom's point, what I love is people will be like, yeah, hey, I'm trying to web scrape on this site and it's a private site and you can't log in, but here's the error, and it's like the weirdest stupid error, and I'm like, I can't help you. Like it's so hard to do this stuff remote. First off, some of it's hard anyway, and then doing it remotely is even worse.
Yeah, here's this thing I was talking about. So it's, an open source software framework. Oh, it's from GitHub, that's right. So it's basically like a GUI made in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript.
Yeah, that's.
But like AutoHotkey just
Neutron.
doesn't work with this very well at all.
Sure. Well, right. I mean, it's using whole different classes and things and controls that you can't easily peek inside.
No comms, nothing.
Yeah.
But this gets asked a lot, and Anonymous, he's always like the first to answer with these kind of questions, saying like, you really can't do much with it. So he knows this stuff pretty well. Try to get a hold of him, but he might be asleep. He's like 4 hours behind us, I think.
Celebrating early.
Yeah. Well, he's in, I think, Mexico, so he's a few hours behind. So it's probably early for him. But that's fine. At least I remembered what it was called.
Yeah, so Geek Dude, his Neutron HTML GUI class that we use in AutoHotkey, people use in AutoHotkey, is based off that Electron, the concepts and stuff. That's why he named it the way he did, if I remember correctly.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen that before. I've never really used it, but you did a video on it.
He did, yeah.
Or he did, okay.
I just watched it and went, wow, yeah. Oh, and here's...
That might be him. He's on mute. Perfect timing. Yeah, if you want to unmute, I'm guessing this is Anonymous. He can go a little more detail on that kind of stuff, because I don't know much about it. I thought it was kind of weird that you would use HTML to build a GUI.
Well, in Matrix has his HTML class, and it is so powerful. I have a couple videos on that where he's doing stuff. It's crazy how powerful it is. But you have to understand CSS and HTML, and some other stuff in order to leverage, it.
Yeah.
And it's not just
Seems like
you
a
don't
lot of
just
work.
pick it up, and there's no documentation, right? Because it's not AutoHotkey code. It's HTML and CSS and the DOM and a lot of stuff. But if you do know those things, it's amazingly powerful.
Does Ali want to talk? Hello?
John, have you done anything with actually when sorry, I got to move my screen. Constant had brought up his thing about clipboard. I was like, oh, this is hilarious, because Jean's the last couple of weeks has been documenting his progress on working with his clipboard tool. Have you done any more on that?
Still working on getting something ready to beta release. Maybe next week it will be ready. So, but there needs to be a minimal set of features so that the user can understand the benefits of the application, but still a beta release 0.1, so a fraction of what it can become with the time. So still working on that.
Hey, and I'm just curious because if I recall correctly, in that tool, you're allowing people to run AutoHotkey code. Is that right?
Yes, snippets of code. So you can insert something that will be executed when your clipboard changes. You don't have to enter a full script, so no header, no. But you could have a loop, you could have variables, you could have something that will take the clipboard content and do your own manipulation using in-string, substring, and these commands. And the now and the time, the variables that are system variables of AutoHotkey could be inserted in the content of the keyboard. So a lot of things that could be done that way. But there will also be rules that can be used without knowing AutoHotkey, but it will be more for, say, power users that will be able to do that.
Well,
and I realize that they will be able to do all sort of crazy things. So, so I'm just wondering if some people will use a tool like that just to install it on a friend's computer and enable some rules that will just do fuzzy things with his clipboard.
I did a prank video.
For that.
A real quick funny story, and this gets back to people, if they understand technology or not, this and that, right? When I was at TI, my first boss, he was a great guy, but he didn't understand technology. The important part is he knew that, though, right? So he hired us to do that. And my job was a really complicated job where I had to build queries based off of people filling out a web form. And so I was showing him one of the approaches I came up with was, look, I could, write a program that will, what I was going to show him was I could say, hey, depending on what they select here, it'll actually change the HTML on the page, right, on my browser to include my query for me, right? Well, that was going to be too complicated. So what I did was I changed it where everywhere it said ti.com, it said adi.com, which was our main competitor, right, one of the biggest ones. So he came to my workstation. I'm like, here, look at this, and look at and everything on the page. I go to ti.com as far as he can see, and everything says adi.com. And he's like, oh, and he starts freaking out. And I'm like, no, this isn't, I didn't change the servers. I changed the local web page. But yeah, it made me think about how you can have some fun with people.
Yeah.
I did a prank video this year, actually, where I did a bunch of little pranks you can do. I forget what it was, change your background automatically, go to different websites, shut your computer down, play music randomly. So little harmless pranks. But you gotta be careful. There was one guy who wanted to write a code for a prank on his friend for tonight, actually, or his birthday or something. I forget. Basically, at midnight, it was gonna sing happy birthday or something, and then shut down, and he put it into the auto start folder on a sleep. So basically, the guy's computer could never be turned back on. So he had to go in safe mode and fix that problem. I was like, you gotta be a little careful sometimes with your pranks.
So what made me think about it, Jean, was not that we have to do it, but the script Constant was working on. I was like, oh, you know what? He might actually even be able to use your tool. Not that he has to, but just because you're working with constantly monitoring the clipboard, and then well, actually, wait a minute, no, you tell you. I forget. Does your tool constantly monitor the clipboard? I forget.
Yeah. Okay. And you decide which rule you enable, so that at every change, these rules, if there are, will be executed on the content of the clipboard. And you also have a window where you can see and edit the clipboard in the application. So there are two parts, an editor and rules that are managed using the application. And you can enable multiple rules, having the first rule to do lowercase, the second rule to do substring, and search and replace, depending on what you need to do. What I have to implement next is groups of rules, because one rule can do something, but often if you need three rules to do something that you need, you may want to reuse this group. So you would not have to enable each of the three rules every time. So you could create a group that would like be a script of executing various rules one after the other. One of the next things I'll have to do.
What's the name of your program, if you have a name yet?
The working title is Quick Access Clipboard,
Okay.
because it's a sister application to Quick Access Pop-up, but it could take a different. I'll ask feedback from users when I will launch it. So
Nice.
I like to have it something close to Quick Access Pop-up, but could be quick clipboard pop-up, Quick Access Clipboard, or maybe something completely different. I'm not fixed yet.
Maybe you'll get some comments on this video, people giving you ideas.
Yeah, sure.
If you guys have a good name for him, definitely put it in the chat.
I'll post the link to my forum thread about this new application. So the application is not posted yet, but you can already discuss and see the purpose of the application. I'll do a poll also I will not replicate what is already done millions of times, these clipboard history tools. But what I want to do is to integrate with these tools. So many of them, it's easy to retrieve the history from files from a database. So my tool will piggyback. Not sure if the expression is correct, but will process this information to allow to also go back in the history from Quick Access Clipboard using the history of Ditto. For now, I know that it can be done with Ditto. It can be done with ClipJump, which is an AutoHotkey script that does clipboard history. And for Windows 10 clipboard history, it works, but only if you enable the cloud sharing of your clipboard. So if you enable the cloud sharing, then it gives access to your clipboard, if I remember well, in the registry. Or we worked on that, Joe, remember a few weeks ago. And it is encrypted, but it's, I don't remember the kind of encryption. That's something that can be decoded easily, so that this way this Windows 10 clipboard history can be retrieved. Yeah, but redoing it's something already available by tool, very reliable. So I'm using Ditto, the one that's doing it very well.
And is Ditto an actual AutoHotkey script?
Ditto, no, I think it's C++.
Okay.
It's open source, but I think it's freeware, open source.
Someone on the Facebook community asked about clipboard managers, and I said, look, there's a ton of them on the forum. And then I said, I think Ditto's the most popular, but I didn't realize that Ditto wasn't an AutoHotkey script.
I used ClipJump maybe more at the beginning of its development. It's not 100% reliable, so then I switch, and once you switch, it's hard to go back to something else when you're very used to an application. And Ditto is very simple, very easy. So sometime beginning of next year, I will be ready to post the first beta release.
Man, you're really pushing it off. You're waiting until next year?
Yeah. I had to think there for a second, too. Like, that's a long time. Wait, no, it's tomorrow.
Over a year, yeah. Did anyone have anything else they need help with or working on?
I haven't had anybody on my channel in the comments yet. People were watching, but I guess no questions.
Can you see that people are watching? How do you... Oh, 5 watching. Okay.
Yep.
Because I was gonna say, because I was so surprised when Dylan messaged me. I didn't think, but there's nobody asking questions.
Yeah, when you're next to your chat, it'll show you like your chat rate and concurrent viewers with a little graph. Which it seems slow sometimes because there'll be people talking, but then I won't see that they're on till like maybe a minute after they've actually got on. So it can be a little slow on updating the data. Because I think it only goes off every minute.
Even the chat is delayed. Because I forget, I think John and I were doing something. and I posted something to there, and then it took him. It was or vice versa. But I knew the video was delayed, but I thought the chat was like instantaneous, and it's not.
Yeah, but not as much as it's not as much delayed as the videos. Maybe just a question of a few seconds, from my experience.
Yeah, the video I think is set to like 30 seconds delay or something like that.
Yes.
And I think you can change that to delay it even more if you want it to.
Hmm.
I forget where to do it. I think it's before you even start it.
Well, yeah, and I'm just starting it with Zoom directly, so I don't know if any of that stuff is something I can change, unless it's a setting, I guess.
Yeah, he's saying 30 seconds behind Zoom. That's what I thought it was. Cool. Yeah, I haven't had any questions come in.
I added the automator to that search, updating the GIST.
Yeah, it's a really cool tool. I'll definitely be using that. Play around with it.
A lot. Yeah, it's very handy. And because what's great also, it's so easy. So let me share my screen. I'll show you what I did. So this is on GIST, but it's the same thing. Was all I did was I went in and copied the line up above. You know, I changed my destination of where it's going to be. Well, this is the text. Sorry, this is the variable. Of course, I just put change this to the automator so I would know that's my variable. And then down here, I just copied these two lines, and then I'm like, okay, I'll change this to the name of the variable I used up above, and then put my new site here where I hard coded it. If I really wanted to be snazzy, I probably could have used a variable or something before, but whatever. It's it's one thing. But obviously, very simple and easy to do.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to work on making kind of like a Windows spy thing with information.
Well, it's been one of the things I've mentioned for years that I wanted to have a tool that would discover what was behind it and say, hey, if there are controls there, use this one. If there's this. But I hadn't thought of it as just from a database perspective. I thought of it as really discovering, and so it's so much more complicated. But if we simply say, hey, what's that program you're using? And then we have a list of the typical approaches for that program, that's easy.
Yeah,
that could be done very quickly and easily. So that's a great idea. Because again, it's not going to, I write a lot of things to help people write their AutoHotkey syntax, like my Excel, my API syntax writer or my AutoHotkey web scraping syntax writer, and the Fiddler, Ripper, things that will help write your code for you, which are great. But this isn't going to be that. This is just going to be, hey, here's the approach you probably should use, right?
Yeah,
So,
just use like a tooltip or something. That way, while it's hovering over, the information's like just there.
yeah,
It moves with your mouse.
Personally, I think your point is right about where it should be. At the same time, the vast majority of people who are using this are to me going to be very new to AutoHotkey. So I would put it in something. I'm just thinking about something that'll stick around more. That's all, and not forever. But
Yeah. No, yeah,
maybe
you
it's a
can.
tooltip with an escape to close it.
Joe, the code you updated on GIST, and we have the link to this.
It's on the. Sorry, yeah. I'll put it back. It's the same. I mean, it should be the same link. I thought I sent it
On your webpage? On your website?
Whoa! What in the world? Hold on. Am I still sharing?
Not your screen.
Nope.
Okay. That's trying to remember how to get share. I copied it from the YouTube, but it put its all redirect in there. But I thought I put it there's in the chat and then put it back in here. Oh, you know what? The other one was a link because it'll when you refresh the automator, the link to the automator, it should pull the new version.
Not yet.
Did you try Control F5?
Yeah.
Really?
You made the easily add a GUI page where you
Yeah.
Where we find the script? Yeah. No, not yet. I don't know if there's a
That's
link.
interesting.
So you embed code from GIST in your page? That's what you do on your
Right.
website?
Yeah, John, and it is a fun one. I could demonstrate. Well, no, I'd have to find one. Some people that go to my website, you'll see I'll have an edit field, and then like all the code looks like it's on one line. And
Yeah,
what was
yeah.
happening is WordPress was breaking, and it wasn't putting in line returns where it should. Even though I used the pre tag, it should keep it all preserve it. And then, John, if you remember, you helped me. Like I could go to the page, I could edit it, I could see the line breaks, but no one else could when you viewed the page. And then you had the idea of going to the HTML version, because if I copied it and pasted it, they all disappeared and it broke. And so it was really troublesome because we couldn't find the characters and whatever. And then you said, "Hey, go to the HTML version."
The source
And
page.
yeah.
Page
And as
two.
long as I didn't save it, yeah, the page sort, yeah, then I could copy it and repaste it. Well, the thing is, I could copy it and then I would go to Gist and I pasted it there, and then I just referenced it. This way, it took care of the issue. But it was a really confusing one of, and the painful, because I'm like, I don't want to have to go through every one of these scripts and find every line break and fix it.
Yeah, there's a few scripts I had to do that I got from your site, and I was like, oh my god, this is like 200 lines of
Well,
code
if
I got to
anyone
figure
ever
out how to
sees
break
a,
up.
please, and Dylan's been very good. If he's still watching, he tells me when he finds one like that, and I go fix it. But if you find any, why is this not updating? Is there a button here on GitHub that I need to hit to save? Because I changed it. Let me see. Is it still there? It's still there. It's on the page. I see.
And on your page, you have a short code to embed the GIST code, or?
Let me share. Well,
Yeah.
on see, I don't. What I do. Let me. Well, no. Here, copy them wrong. Yeah. So this is here. I'm going to come into here, copy it. Now, let me go over to. Well, actually, I could do that from here. So I highlighted it all. I hit my apps key G, and it says, "Hey, what do you want to call this?" So I hit this, it goes and creates it for me and returns back. Here is I can give a direct URL, which I'll just put in here. Or I can, this top one here, I can go into WordPress and embed this. So it's super fast for me to share, things and have the nice color encoding. And yeah, I love it. That script, by the way, I did that is also somewhere on my website.
Great.
Yeah, it's very handy when you want to give people the code and let them see the IntelliSense. I'm trying to find
It's still not updated, so maybe there's something
well,
broken somewhere.
no, well, that one I did. It was what? I didn't go change. Now let me. Am I still sharing? I'm still sharing. So I got to go to this. Well, let me go back to Studio, because down here I'm going to take this, and then I'm going to come back into right there, not here, not here. I thought I had the page open. Let me see. So I'll load it, and since I'm logged in, I can edit the post, and I'm just going to put in that new one. I don't understand why the old one's not updating. It should. Oh, I know why. I need to flush my cache on my WordPress site in order for it to. No, because
That would automatically do it, doesn't it?
Change, right? It's the GitHub that got updated. That's not embedded on my website. Maybe it is. Maybe you think it
Maybe
pulls?
it is. Maybe WordPress reads the content
Yeah.
and keep it in the cache.
So anyway, I'll come in here, update that.
I use
Update, and now
AWS for my
Sorry.
website, and sometimes it can take up to an hour for something to update when I make a page change. It just depends how often it gets like flushed out.
Especially things like embed, because they are not necessarily detected as changes as frequently.
Interesting.
compared to changing the title of your page, for example.
Right. So that so this before,
Yeah.
and I think I included it here, I didn't have a GUI that made it easy. I just hard coded them. And then after, ironically, working through my own Intro to GUIs course that, Isaiah did most of the work on, I not learned, because I sort of knew how to do it. I just hadn't used them in a long time. But I added the GUI and made it simple to change it. But yeah. Where is Anamon? Remember, John? That was, I can't think of his
Yeah.
really long name. Yeah.
Not only long, complicated.
Yeah. Oh, make sure it's paused. That's weird. Anyway, cool. Well, does anyone else have anything they're working on, want help with? If you haven't seen it, it is really fascinating. I published a video, I think yesterday, with Maestria and Hellbent, and we were doing ActiveX GUI. So Hellbent, this is when I was first getting to know him, and I didn't really know him very well. And Maestria and I were on a call working on something else, and I think him and I were using Hangouts or something, or emails, and I said, hey, why don't you join us? So Hellbent comes on, he says, yeah, I'm drawing this GUI with, and I'm updating, he's like, if I use 100 items, it's not terrible. But if I update 1,000, my computer really slows down, and it's ridiculously slow. And so I knew from working with Maestria, he had done stuff with ActiveX, and I thought maybe that would be a good solution. So Maestria first demonstrated how you can draw 1,000 items and have them randomly and show different places. But then he actually adapted, we switched over to Hellbent's code and brought in that approach into his code and showed how much faster it was at doing what he was doing. And it was really fascinating. So it's like a 45-minute video. The problem is the audio, if I remember right, I think Maestria had his fan on, right next to his microphone. If you listen to it, you'll even hear with me, because I ran it through FFmpeg with a script I have to just drop out the low tones and the high tones. So even I sound tinny at the beginning because I just dropped it out to help clean it up, because boy, it was terrible audio. And the video was also poor. John, you'll be proud. I don't think I actually screwed up the zooming on my first try. But it's a really fascinating video. I know it's long, but it's really cool.
Yeah, I'll definitely check that out. I like GUIs. I'm really big into visual stuff when it comes to software and stuff. So I'd definitely be interested in that. I actually just recently figured out how to put videos and GIFs into a GUI. I've never had to. But I was like, you know what, that would be kind of cool to learn. It's pretty easy. It was surprisingly easy, actually. Except for the GIF, it's 3,000 lines of code. But thankfully someone else did it.
See, there again, I'd say, I bet if you use an ActiveX GUI, it'll just render it for you.
Yeah, for the video, for playing a GIF, though, somebody had already made one. So I just copied and pasted his code. It's called gdip_all. By, I guess, gdip is his username, or I don't know, but it was really cool.
I see admin, or cashier 67, just like Sam was stupid, has joined us. And
Last name.
Yeah, right. And I saw in Lemsco hiring. I was thinking the other day, and I don't know why I can't pull it up, but how computers will look at Linsco hiring there. It's is that an L or an I? And I'm like, oh, you know what? Computers never have this problem, unless you're trying to do OCR, I suppose. I also, incidentally, and I think I told Jean this. When I was looking for that ActiveX video stuff, because it was from years and years ago, I stumbled upon, I didn't realize it, but Maestria taught Hellbent and I classes, and I unfortunately never, this was a long time ago, and I, didn't even try. but it's like 4 or 5 hours of a tutorial, broken in, I don't know why, there's like in 5 different sections. So I'm gonna have to go through and try to edit it and see if I can make it into something that would be almost like a course or something. But it's live working through stuff. It was pretty awesome.
And that's on your channel, you said?
Well, I haven't. I found it, no, on my computer.
Oh, okay.
So that's why it was. So I just need to go through and it clean it up. I mean, I can't responsibly just post all this video and say, hey, good luck. Especially if I can find some of the scripts that he was doing, or even use OCR on it and rebuild them. But yeah, it should be good stuff.
Are we doing next Friday, or do we want to try a Saturday? You were saying?
Well, what I was saying is if you're interested, let me double check on my calendar, but I'd just do both, because I don't want to, when I say I'm going to do something, I'd like to stick to it. So I was saying is, when we make Saturdays like option, like, maybe sometimes we do Saturdays.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Oh, I have to check my car tire pressure. I put the craziest stuff on my calendar because I can't remember to do things. But anyway, yeah, I'm good.
Cool. Yep, I'll be heading to Kentucky probably tomorrow morning. Gotta go get a plane ticket, fortunately, and then drive 12 hours back home by myself. Pick my car up.
Oh, well, I was gonna say at least it's a pretty drive, but this time of year, I don't know.
I'll leave in the
A few
middle of
months
the night
ago.
probably, so I don't have to deal with any traffic. Because if I leave at night, it's usually I get home about an hour faster just because there's no traffic. Basically, I just need to get through Baltimore before rush hour.
Did anyone have anything else they're working on? Want to help with? We got 3 more minutes at least until the end of the hour, and if no one else does, I'm gonna get back. I was actually, and I don't know if we want to work on my code. Problem that's a bit complex. In automate my task, I actually found one little. I'm going to call it a bug. It's not a bug, just a poor, a design flaw that we didn't anticipate. But the other one that is a bug, and it's so weird. Actually, let me share my screen and just see if anyone has any ideas of when you use automate my task. Let me bring it over, and I'm also going to release this new version. Well, not new, just a gray version instead of the black. It just looks to me a little cleaner. When you go to Chrome and you go in here, I'm gonna say I'm gonna look for this. Okay, great. I move away. Great. See here, this says video details YouTube dash Google Chrome, right? Well, if you look at my title here, there's just the first part, no dash Google Chrome. But if we pull up WinSpy and click here, you'll see it does have dash Google Chrome, right? All okay, well, it's just, it's getting that. Well, if we put in actually, first let me show you. So display matches, hey, look, it found it. It works great, right? If I test click it, it would work fine. If I change this to say use before and put dash, it says, hey, video details, and that's what this thing up here says, display matches. Works great, right? If I use after, it uses the Google Chrome, which remember isn't here, but it is here. This one, when I say display matches, it can't find it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I at least narrowed it down to say it's Google Chrome and it's looking for Google Chrome, and I got into the code some and said it is looking for that. However, it's not, my guess is the fact that it's not here, even though AutoHotkey is showing it, when I'm on this, it's showing it to be there. This is where I'm like, it's voodoo to me, and I need to get really in the weeds of how it's implementing it.
Yeah, it's weird that it's grabbing that information, but not actually displaying up there.
Yeah, In fact, it's Chrome that is not displaying Chrome at every tab title because
Right.
it would be a repetition. So it's hiding that, but it's still part of the name of the page.
It is,
Probably.
well,
So you
as
get
far
when
as-
you get the title, the name of the window. I mean,
yeah.
And that's on any website, not just YouTube.
Yeah, it is, because I've done it on a couple others. So, yeah.
but your tool is looking at the content of the window.
That's what I just don't like I said, I started looking at it and I saw when I do the before and after, and it shows it's looking for this. I've checked that. It is looking for Google Chrome. I've checked that. What I'm having a hard time narrowing down is exactly what it's comparing. And it's fairly complex stuff. So, I mean, I don't know if you want to look for it, but it's a pretty complicated program when you get into it. Mixed with, and he used a lot of his own GUI class he has, and so it's, if you don't know it, it's just much more complex. So the other one, by the way, well, since I'm here, is let's go back, let's get this to work. Use before, display matches. Great. So if I hit left and an actual click, if I do a test, you see it move there, but it didn't click, right? Well, what was happening was it did click. However, built into this tool is to reactivate it the second you're done. And so I added this to now say, when I say test, it actually doesn't reactivate the tool. So this is what was confusing people. Because if you actually export the syntax, which is what this, you hit this and hit export, it gives you the AutoHotkey code to go do it, right? That works fine. It's just this tool, you're like, well, it didn't work. Hey, this I clicked it, but it didn't click it. I hit test, but it didn't click it. Well, it did. It just did it so fast, it clicked off it that HTML didn't stay active. It's grabbing the name from Chrome, not the tab. Thank you, Ollie. From the Chrome window, not the tab. Yeah. But I think I'm still looking, when I'm doing my comparison, I see in the Zoom chat, Ollie wrote, it's grabbing the name from the Chrome window, not the tab, which I agree with. However, it's still in that comparison, which is what I got to narrow down, is how is it that doing that comparison? And how is it that the before works perfectly fine, but the after doesn't?
Because what's before is in the tab
Yeah.
content. So you switch from run. It's not really the window, it's the tab that is looked at, is it?
Like I said, I gotta get into the weeds of the nitty gritty, or I'll see if Maestri. He's been really crazy busy lately, so I didn't want to bug him with it. But it'd be nice if I can fix that one as well, because this is, it is. I don't use this tool very often, but when you're stuck with something and you want something quick, it's quick meaning I don't want to spend a lot of time writing code, and you're going to use it on one computer. It's a pretty good tool, and if you have controls, if you're not using like Chrome, if there's a control behind it, you can use control clicks. It'll look for the controls, which is much more reliable.
Yeah, I've played around with this. It's pretty cool. I think I still have it on my desktop, actually.
Does anyone else have any any other questions besides hey? Were you going for the hey, it's Fat Albert? No? I think Anamon was not referencing that.
Yeah, been a quiet day. Everybody's going out to party, I guess. They don't want to code today. They want to have fun. Celebrate the new year.
Awesome. Well,
Yep.
Unless anyone wants to hang out, I mean, I try to think of something else I've been working on. Or we could try to dive into the automate my task actual thing, but it's, like I said, it's not simple code.
I'll have to be.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll probably head out in a few minutes.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New
See you
Year.
next year.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you, everyone. Yeah, have a great New Year's Eve. Safe New Year's Eve, more importantly. try to make it great.
Drive safely.
Yeah, if you're going out, be very careful. Okay, thank you. We'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.
Oh, this guy's asking. Okay, each Friday. Just wanted to know when it was. And if you don't have the notifications, Joe has a sign up list that you can sign up. That way you get a notice like every Friday saying, hey, we're going to be going live soon. Here's the link to Zoom, or you can check out one of our channels live stream.
Yeah, I
So lots of options there.
think if you click the link I just put in there, I should have tested it, but yeah, that'll invite you or give you as Thom was saying, I send reminders in the morning. Maybe I should do it the night before. I don't know, but just to help you to know ahead of time because thankfully I have it on my calendar. Otherwise, I'd probably forget as well.
Well, I just wait for your email to remind me. I'm like,
Yeah.
cool. I'm like, I know what's going on today. I'll just wait for his link and join that way. But yeah, every Friday for the most part, unless it's like a holiday, we might not be around. It's going to be different people each week, kind of jumping around. Sometimes I'm on, sometimes I can't. But yeah, good way to get a bunch of different like knowledge base from different points of view.
Well, also, I trying to remember who I was talking to about it. Is Jackie and I talked a lot about this of just talking to somebody else about what they're working on and what they're doing. It exposes you to things that you're not doing, and suddenly, like even the thing like the Discord thing earlier, we mentioned Thom on your website, and you're doing games, like I don't do games, and suddenly it popped in my head, like wait a minute, it doesn't have to be games, it could be anything, right? Like why was I don't know why that didn't occur to me before. It's so silly of not to make that connection, but like and when you see what other people are doing, it's just a great way to be like, oh, I never thought of that, right? And it just forces you to be exposed to, and actually, so I'm a big fan of Dan Kennedy, who's a direct marketing guru, right? So if you're into marketing at all, he's a brilliant guy. But he says subscribe to other, like let's say you're in the restaurant industry, right? You should subscribe to like pharma industry stuff and automotive stuff, things outside your industry, because they also apply things that your industry doesn't do, but it makes you're like, oh, wait a minute, like we could be doing that. Just no one in our industry does that. So it's just another great thing. If we should be watching other, types of programming channels to come up with ideas of what they're doing. Oh, I hadn't thought about doing that without a hotkey, but we could, right? So
yeah, I'm subscribed to a few different people with like Python and your AutoHotkey channel. Yeah, it kind of makes me think of rubber duck coding.
Right.
I did a video on, I think it was like a 2-minute video where I'm like, literally take a duck or a cup or something and just talk to it if nobody's around and be like, this cup doesn't know how to code. So then you're slowing down and you're like, so I'm going to do this here. And then, oh, I forgot a comma. Because it's something so simple like that that can easily be like missed.
Yeah. Now, what I'll say, because both with like Maestria and Raptor X, I'll sit on, on here, or Tank also as well. I'll be working with them, and they're working along, and they'll get stuck on something. And just because my frame of reference is different, I'll ask questions, and it helps them solve the problem. But it's not because, because I don't, they're so much beyond me. It's ridiculous. But it's just because of the perspective difference. And I don't have the same assumptions also, right? So I'll throw out stupid things. They're like, oh, I hadn't thought of that. And then sometimes it's, it either is the answer or it gets them to go, oh, it's not that, but you know what? That made me think of this, and they can fix it. So having someone, John and I reach out fairly often to like, hey, are you around? And we'll jump on and just talk through something very quickly. And it's super helpful to have someone, have a programming buddy, basically, right? It's like a workout buddy. It's just someone to bounce ideas off.
Yeah. No, it's always good to do that. It was funny, the other day I did 8 videos in one day I recorded. Oh.
What was the link to what, Ali?
Yeah, the link to subscribe to your channel.
Well,
for you said that it's going to be every Friday.
Yeah.
Like okay, all right. Okay.
Yeah, and it's I put sorry I didn't I'm it gets very confusing when you're running this and you have the YouTube channel and Zoom chats to try to remember to do things in both. But yeah, it's
Slash Fridays, if that makes sense.
yeah, pretty links are awesome, right? Like it's makes it so much easier.
Because next time I'm gonna ask you some questions, maybe.
Cool. Well,
I'm
I
ready.
have a form. I think it's if you go to, let me put it here. I think it's.
Here's mine.
I'll put it here. Let's test it. You can submit questions ahead of time. And I do check them. I don't check them just because usually we get like one question, so I haven't been checking it really early. But you can I'll put the link in the YouTube chat as well. Oh, I keep putting it in the search. There we go. But yeah, you can submit questions there, and then ahead of time, if we have a little bit of time, we can look at into it beforehand. Because as Thom always points out, we can only do so much live in that moment when we see it. But if it's something that we can kind of prep on, it helps.
I see. I was gonna ask you some questions about physics search, but I don't have them the scripts ready right now. So maybe next time I will prepare some.
What kind of search?
The physics search that.
Fuzzy.
Yeah,
Yeah, sure.
fuzzy search.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah.
Yeah. There are some couple of scripts I'm working on for those kind of search, and it's all about algorithm and thinking how to match different searches. Like you have two lists, you have an original list and you have another list. You want to match those lists together, and some words are not exactly the same match. They are a bit different. Like they may have some misspelling or some characters. So I want to be able to match those two lists, find the closest one to the original list. So these are some of the stuff I've been working on.
Well, I put a link in both the Zoom chat and YouTube chat.
All right.
It's to a video. If I remember correctly, the people did the programming in Python, and it's a long video. I think it's like 45 minutes long, but it is some of the funnest. Like sit back and listen to what these guys did. They had a task that, if I remember right, it used to take maybe it was either 2 weeks or a month to run. It was that complicated. They were trying to do it was looking for people on the terrorist watch list and trying to compare them to like everybody out there that's traveling or something like that, right? And it was a crazy big list, and it took, let's say, at least 2 weeks to run. And then they talked through their process of saying, well, what if we can always throw more computers, more things at it, but that's only going to gain so much, and it's going to be expensive, and it's still going to take forever. So they started taking different approaches, and they got it down to like less than 5 minutes. But it was all fuzzy matching, searches and this and that stuff. It was fascinating. I have some good notes because it's a long video. I have some good notes of the process they go through. But yeah, anyway, the whole concept is really neat. And what's the name on the forum? And I have, of course, a fuzzy link to it, or sorry, a short link to it as well. But there's a let me find it real quickly. I've demonstrated it plenty of times. I think it's there under strings. Maybe text. Oh yeah, Sift. Have you played with Sift?
No.
Nah.
So this is a really great script. Oh, sorry, this is the one. This is the actual. There we go. So these are the different types of patterns and stuff you can search. So let's do can and see how it starts filtering. Date. So that's just an in search though, right? What if I want it from the left? So it'll have to begin with them. An exact, of course, would be the exact thing. A regex ordered characters. So I could do like a HCIFO, and it's just filtering, right? Ordered words, unordered, and then these n-grams are really cool as well. Those are really, really powerful because they look for sub patterns of things. But this is a really fun script to borrow from because all the functions are in the sift function. This is just a GUI that helps you do that. So, and let's see here.
I actually do have that. I didn't realize that was the name of it.
I always forget it. Yeah. Oh, good. Look, and this gives you the download. This is where you can grab it. But I have a video talking about it. I wish I should. I know we mentioned it in a couple forums, and I brought it up a lot of times, but it's very, very powerful.
Cool. Well, I'm
Yeah, we
gonna
borrowed from
head
it.
out here in a minute.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I don't know why more people don't have it. Well, I mean, because I wouldn't want to write it from scratch. Don't get me wrong, but don't put in like a fuzzy match instead of using exact match.
Yeah, Social Blade you just
Sounds
had
like the
open. That's what I like
picture
using.
I send you. It's everywhere. I mean, if you have misspelling on Notepad++ or in Word, it gets underlined and it shows you, did you mean automation? Did you mean maturation? Did you mean summation? Did you mean...
Right.
I was wondering how, I mean, the algorithm behind it is kind of complex, I understand, but
Sure.
I was curious how it works.
Yeah, I think with the hotkey help script we wrote, I think that has a fuzzy match, and I just had Raptor X, incorporate it, so I didn't write it. But I believe I said, hey, we should make this where it's a, because I can't always remember the exact thing I'm trying to find, and so let's have it where you can type and make it close. In Studio, the Omni search. So if I hit Alt, oops, wrong. No, it's Alt. No.
Forget
Why
your
am I
hotkey.
blanking on the Omni search? Alt O. Control O. No. What in the world? My mind is blanking. Oh, here we go. Alt M, not O. Duh. But when you type here, if you have like OF, it'll jump to it. It puts more weight on the first initials of the words, so it's a fuzzy match, right? And it weights the first initials more, which is I think pretty cool. Yeah. Alrighty. Well, I think now we're gonna go ahead and
Head on out.
yeah, actually leave. Yeah.
I'm
Thank you,
so
everyone.
hungry. I need
And
food.
again, stay safe. I'm not going anywhere tonight. We're having a bonfire, so I'll try to remember to take some pictures. But yeah, hope to see you next year.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
care.
See you, everybody.
have a great year.
You too.
Thanks. Take care. Bye.